Taiwan and the Philippines are neighboring countries separated by just over 200 kilometers of ocean. But the geographical proximity is not the only thing they share. Both regions have rich, interwoven histories that go back thousands of years, long before modern national borders were drawn. In this video, we'll delve deep into the question, was Taiwan ever part of the Philippines? To uncover the answer, we'll explore archaeological evidence, pre-colonial migration patterns, cultural exchanges, and the political relationships that existed between Taiwan and the Philippines over the centuries. Ancient ties, the Austronesian Connection. One of the strongest arguments for Taiwan's historical connection to the Philippines lies in the Austronesian migration. The Austronesians, an ancient seafaring people, began migrating out of Taiwan around 5,000 years ago, eventually settling in areas that today include the Philippines, Malaysia, Indonesia, and even the far reaches of the Pacific, like Hawaii and Easter Island. Anthropologists and linguists point out that the languages spoken by indigenous groups in Taiwan, such as the Amis, Atayal, and Bunun, are part of the Austronesian language family, just like many of the languages spoken in the Philippines. This linguistic connection suggests that the people of Taiwan and the Philippines share common ancestors. Fun fact, did you know that the word for "I" is similar across many Austronesian languages? For example, it's Mata in Tagalog and Mato in Atayal, one of Taiwan's indigenous languages. Trivia question, what group of people is believed to have originated in Taiwan and spread across Southeast Asia and the Pacific? A. Mongols. B. Austronesians. C. Han Chinese. D. Polynesians. Answer, B. Austronesians. Archaeological evidence, trading, and cultural exchange. Throughout prehistory, the maritime routes connecting Taiwan and the Philippines served as important channels for trade and cultural exchange. Archaeologists have found evidence that jade from Taiwan was traded across the Philippines and even further into Southeast Asia. Jade artifacts from Taiwan have been discovered in sites like Batanist in the northern Philippines, indicating that a robust trade network existed long before the arrival of European colonizers. These ancient trade connections suggest that Taiwan and the Philippines were not isolated from each other, but rather part of a broader cultural sphere. Shared pottery styles and tools found in both regions further support the theory that there was significant interaction between early Taiwanese and Filipino societies. Fun fact: the Batanist Islands, which are the northernmost islands in the Philippines, are only about 190 kilometers away from Taiwan. In fact, during the right conditions, it's possible to travel between the two areas by sea in less than a day. Trivia question: what material from Taiwan has been found in archaeological sites in the Philippines indicating ancient trade links? A. Gold. B. Jade. C. Silk. D. Spices. Answer, B. Jade. The Kingdom of Sanfotsi, a lost political connection. In the centuries leading up to European colonization, Chinese historical records refer to a mysterious polity called Sanfotsi, which scholars debate over its exact location. Some believe that this kingdom was located in the Philippines, while others think it could have been Taiwan. The ambiguity arises from the fact that these early Chinese records described Sanfotsi as a maritime kingdom that traded with China and Southeast Asia. The trade routes between Taiwan and the Philippines during this period were well established, with goods like ceramics, silk, and spices flowing between the two regions. Whether or not Taiwan and the Philippines were under the control of the same political entity remains speculative, but it's clear that they had significant contact with each other. Fun fact, Sanfotsi was mentioned in Chinese records as a bustling port and trade center that sent envoys to the Chinese emperor as early as the Song Dynasty, which was from 960 to 1279 AD. Trivia question, which historical kingdom is believed by some scholars to have included both Taiwan and parts of the Philippines? A. Majapahit. B. Sanfotsi. C. Srivijaya. D. Tondo. Answer, B. Sanfotsi. The Spanish period, colonization, and divergence. By the 16th century, the political landscape in both Taiwan and the Philippines dramatically shifted with the arrival of European colonizers. In 1565, Spain officially colonized the Philippines and began integrating the archipelago into the global Spanish Empire. Taiwan, meanwhile, was later colonized by the Dutch in 1624, then briefly by the Spanish, who established a settlement in northern Taiwan called Formosa in 1626. During this period, the Spanish made efforts to conquer Taiwan as part of their broader ambition to dominate trade routes in East Asia. However, their presence in Taiwan was short-lived, and they were eventually driven out by the Dutch in 1642. Despite these colonial efforts, Spain never succeeded in fully integrating Taiwan into its empire in the same way it did with the Philippines. Fun fact: the name Formosa, which means beautiful in Portuguese, was the name European explorers gave to Taiwan in the 16th century. Trivia question: which European country briefly colonized both the Philippines and Taiwan during the 17th century? A. France, B. Portugal, C. Spain, D. England. Answer: C. Spain. The Ming Loyalists and the Koxinga Connection. After the fall of the Ming Dynasty in China, Taiwan became the refuge of Ming Loyalist forces led by the famous General Koxinga, also known as Zheng Chenggong. Koxinga and his forces drove the Dutch out of Taiwan in 1662, and established a base there from which they hoped to reclaim mainland China. Interestingly, Koxinga's forces also interacted with the Philippines during this time. Spanish records indicate that Koxinga's regime in Taiwan sent letters to Manila, demanding tribute and threatening to invade if his demands were not met. While an invasion never materialized, the interactions between Koxinga's Taiwan and the Spanish Philippines show that there were clear political and military links between the two regions during the 17th century. Fun fact: Koxinga is still considered a national hero in Taiwan today, and his legacy as a Ming loyalist and defender of Chinese culture is celebrated in Taiwanese history. Trivia question: which Ming loyalist established a base in Taiwan after defeating the Dutch in 1662? A. Sun Yat-sen, B. Koxinga, C. Chiang Kai-shek, D. Qianlong. Answer: B. Koxinga. The Qing Dynasty and the frontier of Taiwan. In 1683, Taiwan was incorporated into the Qing Dynasty, becoming a frontier province of China. This event marked a significant divergence in the historical paths of Taiwan and the Philippines. While Taiwan became part of the Chinese imperial system, the Philippines remained under Spanish control until 1898, when the United States took over after the Spanish-American War. However, despite this political separation, there were still interactions between Taiwan and the Philippines during the Qing period. Chinese traders from Fujian province, which lies directly across the Taiwan Strait, continued to trade with the Philippines. Many Chinese immigrants from Fujian also settled in the Philippines during this time, contributing to the growth of the Chinese Filipino community. Fun fact: Taiwan's incorporation into the Qing Empire was initially met with resistance from indigenous groups, and it wasn't until the late 19th century that the Qing fully controlled the island. Trivia question: when did Taiwan officially become part of the Qing Dynasty? A. 1644, B. 1683, C. 1720, D. 1895. Answer: B. 1683. The modern-era Taiwan and the Philippines in the 20th century. The 20th century brought new challenges and transformations to both Taiwan and the Philippines. After the fall of the Qing Dynasty in 1911, Taiwan was ceded to Japan following the First Sino-Japanese War in 1895. Taiwan remained under Japanese rule until the end of World War II in 1945, while the Philippines experienced American colonization from 1898 until its independence in 1946. During World War II, both Taiwan and the Philippines were occupied by Japan, and the two regions again found themselves under the influence of a foreign power. After the war, Taiwan became the seat of the Republic of China government, while the Philippines emerged as an independent republic. While their political paths had diverged significantly by this point, the historical connections between the two regions were still remembered by scholars and historians. Fun fact: both Taiwan and the Philippines played important roles in the Pacific Theater during World War II, with major battles occurring in both regions. Trivia question: which country ruled Taiwan from 1895 to 1945? A. China, B. Japan, C. Spain, D. France. Answer: B. Japan. The cultural legacy shared heritage in the 21st century. In the present day, Taiwan and the Philippines remain separate nations with distinct political systems and identities. But the ancient connections between the two regions continue to be felt. The Austronesian cultural and linguistic ties, the shared history of colonization, and the centuries of trade and migration have left a lasting imprint on both societies. Indigenous cultures in both Taiwan and the Philippines still share commonalities, from language to rituals to music. For example, the traditional bamboo instruments played by indigenous groups in Taiwan resemble those used by ethnic communities in the Philippines. These shared elements serve as reminders of the ancient ties that once bound these two regions together. Fun fact: The indigenous festivals of Taiwan, such as the Harvest Festival celebrated by the Amis people, bear a striking resemblance to the harvest festivals held by indigenous groups in the Philippines. Trivia question: what type of instruments are commonly shared between indigenous cultures in Taiwan and the Philippines? A. String instruments. B. Brass instruments. C. Bamboo instruments. D. Percussion instruments. Answer: C. Bamboo instruments. So, was Taiwan once part of the Philippines? While the two regions have always been distinct political entities, the shared Austronesian roots, centuries of trade and cultural exchange, and occasional political interactions suggest that Taiwan and the Philippines were closely connected throughout much of history. Although they have since followed different paths, the bonds of geography, culture, and history continue to link Taiwan and the Philippines in unexpected ways. As we look back on this shared history, it's fascinating to see how the connections between these two regions have shaped their development and continue to influence their societies today. The question of whether Taiwan was part of the Philippines might not have a simple yes or no answer, but what's clear is that their histories are deeply intertwined. This concludes our exploration of the question, was Taiwan once part of the Philippines? If you found this video interesting, don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell to stay updated on more fascinating historical deep dives.